Hey everyone, I know there's been some talk about how to strengthen your core, where to start, and what to do, especially after having kids. So today I'm going to touch on a super important starting point. Core strength starts with the lower and deep abdominal muscles. These are the ones that are key for stability and creating an even tension across your abdomen. When you're doing core exercises, your stomach should stay pretty uniform across the stomach. You don't want your ribs to flare up or your back to be arched or any doming to happen along the midline of your stomach. What I'm going to show you today is all about finding your lower abdominals and working on motor control of this area. It shouldn't feel really hard to do, although it might be a little hard to coordinate at first. But if you can find these muscles and learn to control them and use them during your core workouts, your workouts will be a whole lot more functional, effective, and result in a lot less discomfort if you've had any issues doing core workouts before. This is usually a missing piece if you usually get back pain with your core workouts also. All right, let's go. Okay, for the first one, we're just gonna find your lower abdominals. This one is all about just finding a contraction and getting some motor control going. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna lay on your back with your knees bent. This is just kind of the easiest position to find these muscles. Then what I want you to do is think about rolling your hips back. In doing that, it should feel like some muscles right on the inside of your hip bones are contracting. So go ahead and kind of put your fingers right on the inside of your hip bones and think about rolling your hips back and tightening the muscles that are right on the inside of those bones. Good, now I want you to try to hold that. Some people do good with the cue of thinking about drawing their belly button towards their spine. Or some people, it's more helpful if they kind of laugh or giggle a little bit in this position because that also turns those muscles on. Whatever you need to do to kind of find those muscles and be able to contract them, that's what I want you to do. So think about rolling hips under, contracting, and holding. You'll do like a 5-second contraction and then let everything relax. Repeat this until you're able to find those muscles on command. After you get that down, we're gonna progress to a little bit more of a challenge for the core. So again, you're gonna find that same position. You don't want your back arched up. You wanna think about rolling your hips under and pressing your low back down into the floor. Find those same muscles right on the inside of your hip bones. And then you're gonna hold that tension while you lift one knee up, pause at the top, and then slowly lower it back down. As you come back down, you might find that your back wants to arch up a little bit. Don't let it. Keep that back flat down to the floor the whole time. So you're just keeping that tension, bringing one knee up, pause, back down, and then switching over to the other side. Good. So that's the first progression. And then the second progression is now we're just going to be finding that same core contraction, but then creating a long lever arm for it to work against. So this one should feel a little bit harder, but it starts with this same position. So you want to think about, again, just rolling those hips back, finding those lower abdominals, and then instead of bringing the knee up, you're just going to straighten the leg out. And then back to that starting position. The lower your leg is, the more of a challenge it's going to be to kind of control that position of your hips. So if you find that you can't kind of hold it there, if you lose that contraction, then start with it, kind of elevate it a little bit. And then as you're able to find that, see about lowering it just a little bit more. So throughout that whole thing, you want to be thinking about keeping that contraction. If it's really hard to hold throughout the whole exercise, you can reset each time. So think about rolling back, finding those lower abdominals, bringing that leg out, bringing it back in, relaxing, and then finding it again, setting it, going to the other side. If you need to start there, that's totally fine. Okay, that's your starting point. Let me know if you have any questions. You need to work on getting motor control down in this area, and then you can start to progress it into harder movements and more functional patterns. I'll give you some ideas for that in a few. All right, we'll see ya. And it's like hard to breathe in this position, so I have to like talk, and then be like,